야야야, 야 이게 어떻게 삼각형이야? 해병대도 못해 이런 거는.
이게 이 중에서 제일 쉬운 거라고?
Squid Game became an unexpected global sensation when it was released on Netflix in 2021. Many people saw Korean entertainment for the first time, and the combination of global praise, dystopian science fiction, and a broader subject of capitalism and greed made it an alluring concoction of intrigue that many were unable to resist. This was aided by the bizarre combination of games, each more horrifying and lethal than the one before it, as well as an engrossing mystery that drew viewers in and kept them watching until the very end. Squid Game added small bits of world building along the process, such as the undercover detective story, BYTES, and people working against the game behind the scenes. A more balanced perspective on the games was made possible by the seamless integration of all of this into the main plot, which also raised the stakes when the characters we came to love were shown to be planted moles or, as the tragic marble game demonstrated, compelled to betray their comrades to the death. Many people were moved by this, and it worked on a visceral, terrifying level. No one, even the author himself, anticipated it to be such a big success, and I doubt Netflix did either. 2 sequels were approved since the streamers obviously did not want this to be a one-season phenomenon. However, considering how well the first season performed, let's not yet damage Squid Game's reputation. Even though it wasn't the finest Korean drama that year, many fans were curious and cautious about how this one would turn out after hearing about the renewal. After all, as Netflix cycles through multiple seasons, with each season slowly declining in quality, we've seen franchises like Money Heist transform from cultural blockbusters into forgettable money grabs. Let's go right to the point since, regrettably, Squid Game's second season does follow the same path. The TV season isn't very terrific, but it's also not completely terrible. Indeed, there are sections of this that just copy and paste elements of Season 1, including character archetypes and episode structure. In actuality, the show's sole original content, which occurs in the first few episodes and is supplemented by brief tidbits, doesn't go nearly far enough in broadening the world to help you comprehend what's going on, who made the games, or how to overthrow the established order. The second season's plot lightning fast continues where we left off. Determined to stop the game before another round of Squid Game begins, Ji-hun departs the airport with the intention of tracking down the game's developers. In order to accomplish this, he must locate the recruiter and have him deliver Ji-hun to the front man and the other players while disguising it as a message he wishes to convey. After 2 years, Ji-hun is a guy who has been possessed. The recruiter has slipped off the map, but Ji-hun finally finds himself thrust back into the games after he receives a lucky break and the recruiter appears. When he does, he brings with him plans for survival and newly acquired information. But more mysteries and horrors are waiting around the corner. The ongoing narrative of our detective Junho is interwoven with this story. When Junho learns that his brother is truly the notorious front man, In-ho, he gets well and decides to attempt and seek the island where Squid Game is. He's struggling after making friends with a captain until he meets Ji-hun. Unfortunately, the remainder of the season follows Junho's search for Ji-hun while our title character tries to survive the games. This culminates in a dramatic and action-packed conclusion that leaves everything hanging. There are some good content ideas here, but the first season's in-depth character development and analysis of many players truly made it stand out. The contradictory concepts of "don't judge a book by its cover" and "don't trust anyone" were interlaced, creating an intriguing clash of ideas that made for an extremely uncomfortable and uneasy viewing experience. We were unaware of who would betray whom or who would die next, and events like the Marble Game and the Blackout Massacres just took us by surprise because we had no idea these were coming next. Going back to Squid Game, some of the games are familiar to us and do return, but a few new ones are added that aren't quite as good as the ones from the first round. The uneven writing about various players is the main issue here. This season is primarily characterized by factions within the games that are torn between the OS, those who wish to continue playing and earn more money, and the Zers, those who want to go home and stop the games. While this is all well and good in and of itself, one of the games involves everyone playing cheerleader as several players band together to try to escape their individual games unscathed. Indeed, there comes a time when players encircle a team to support and encourage them. Some of the OS are among them. Call me cynical, but wouldn't it make more sense to boo or sabotage people who make it if you want to profit more from it? Although the characters this time around represent a diverse range of people, their impact is not nearly as strong because they all fit into the same tropes as those we saw in the previous place. In addition to the weird rejects, nerds, thugs, and bullies, we also have an elderly woman who is kind and well-liked by everyone around her. Although the characters' backstories are somewhat altered, everything about this set of characters feels like it was changed. The only two individuals who truly stand out are No Yul, a woman who has left North Korea, and Hyun-ju, a transgender person. We believe that Ji-hun and the way he is portrayed here are somewhat to blame for the problems with the characters. Throughout the series, he makes some very dubious choices, such as putting too much confidence in people at the beginning, for someone who has a very low threshold for these games and is driven by a desire for vengeance. Finding out that OIL Nam was the one who truly designed and hosted Squid Game because he was bored was a major aspect of Ji-hun's character development at the end of Season 1, which fueled his subsequent revenge scheme. This time, he has complete faith in everyone, even a new best friend who sticks by Ji-hun and happens to be inside the games, without even questioning their intentions. Unfortunately, you get the impression that the tale would take a certain turn in the first game, but it quickly veers back and returns to its previous patterns. The irony is that Season 2 is best enjoyed outside of the games. The thought of pursuing the VIPs or attempting to halt the games while another group of players is trapped inside may have set up a ticking clock thriller and more of an action-packed romp, but we already know how the games operate. Ji-hun and Junho team up and go after the VIPs and those in charge of the games outside, trying to sabotage the entire event as a new set of games begins. In this alternate version of Season 2, we might have been introduced to new players who are desperate for money and whom we want to win the games but are unsure if they will make it. This might have given the season a whole new dimension and let us watch more games without realizing our protagonist was wearing crazy story armor. The program never quite knows what it wants to do with those outside the games, so even while there is action here, it all feels like a poor man's copy-paste job based on what we've already seen. Naturally, the crushing hype around Season 1 and the onerous challenge of having to please a large number of people who were expecting a crazy set of games that would resemble what we received 3 years ago have not helped any of this. The world is a completely different place now, and Squid Game just collapses under the pressure of expectation after being blessed with other shows like Alice in Borderland. The games still have a fantastic visual aesthetic, and the recognizable soundtrack, which features eerie orchestral tones and eerie, minimalist chords, helps create an ambience reminiscent of Season 1. Given the high stakes at work, the bright colors are all back, and a specific episode in the halls late on creates a really discordant and lovely contrast. Regretfully, though, this is all a moot point in an otherwise forgettable and terrible season. To be honest, it hurts to say this because Korean entertainment is far superior to what is typically produced in the West, but Squid Game Season 2 is a huge letdown. It remains to be seen whether Season 3 will be able to follow up where Stranger Things left off, but if it does, we won't know until 2025. It's unclear if players will hit the X and quit the game before then, but if they do, let's hope there's a tempting reward at the end, as things don't seem promising at the moment. That concludes our review for today, but the discussion is far from over. For more, leave a comment, hit like, and subscribe for more videos. Keep the magic of movies alive until the next time. Signing off from FK BYTES.